On December 23, 2023, at 11:47 p.m., I sat in my home office, staring at 50,000 strangers who'd been laughing at me for 8 months, watching my wife call me the clueless husband in 147 TikTok videos, while the blinking green light on my NAS server reminded me I had every single deleted message, every hotel receipt, every lie backed up in triplicate. If you got some time, maybe grab a drink and settle in, because this story has layers I'm still processing a year later. So why did I wait 94 days after discovering the affair to do anything about it? Why did I let her sleep next to me, touch me, lie to me every single day while I knew exactly what she was doing? Because I'm an IT security specialist. And the first rule of information warfare is this: never reveal what you know until you've documented everything. My wife forgot that rule, and it cost her everything. This is the story of how I went from being the trusting husband working 60-hour weeks to the man who executed the most calculated revenge of my life. It's about discovering betrayal through a 2:34 a.m. network alert, about watching someone you love perform loving you while mocking you to tens of thousands of strangers, about the price of dignity, and about learning that sometimes the IT guy really does have the last laugh. Let me take you back to the beginning. I met Sarah in the fall of 2019 at a friend's party in Denver. I was 25, fresh into my career at a cybersecurity firm, socially awkward at gatherings like that. She was 23, magnetic, the kind of person who could talk to anyone about anything. We were opposite in every way that felt complimentary back then. She pulled me out of my shell. I gave her stability. Or, at least that's what I told myself. We dated for 2 years before getting married in a small ceremony in June 2020. Small, partially because of COVID, but mainly because Sarah's family, ultra-religious evangelical Christian types, barely approved of me. I wasn't from their church. I didn't quote scripture. Her mother, Carol, looked at me like I was personally responsible for Sarah straying from the faith. Sarah had stopped going to church in college, started living what her family called a worldly life, and I was apparently the symbol of that decline. But we were happy. At least I thought we were. By 2023, we'd settled into what I considered a comfortable life. We had a nice townhouse in a Denver suburb. I'd been promoted to senior specialist at my firm, making good money but working brutal hours. Sarah had built a freelance career as a social media manager, running Instagram and TikTok accounts for local businesses. She worked from home, which meant she handled most of the household stuff while I was at the office. It felt fair. It felt like partnership. We had date nights on Fridays when I wasn't slammed with work. We'd binge shows together on weekends. We talked about starting a family eventually, once her student loans were paid off and my career plateaued enough to work less. Normal stuff. The kind of comfortable that you don't question because questioning it feels paranoid. But looking back, I can see exactly when things started cracking. March 2023. Sarah became obsessed with growing her personal brand. She'd always been into social media. It was her job, but this was different. She started talking about becoming an influencer herself, not just managing other people's accounts. She'd spend hours on her phone, filming herself, editing videos, checking analytics. Then one morning, I noticed a second phone on the kitchen counter. Android, Samsung Galaxy. Our personal phones were iPhones. "What's that?" I asked, nodding at it. Sarah didn't even look up from her coffee. "Work phone. I need to separate business content from personal. Keeps things organized." Made sense to me. I had a work phone too. Didn't think twice about it. But other things started shifting. She joined a gym in March, one of those expensive boutique places, $200 a month. When I saw the charge, I questioned it. "I'm getting serious about fitness," she said, already in new Lululemon leggings I didn't remember buying. "It's important to me." I felt guilty for even bringing it up. Here she was, trying to better herself, and I was nitpicking about money. So I bought her more workout gear for her birthday in May. Tried to be supportive. The gym became her thing. She'd wake up at 5 a.m. for morning workouts, come back glowing and energized. Meanwhile, I was leaving for work at 7:30, getting home at 8 p.m., sometimes later, We started having sex less. Date nights became less frequent. She always had client deadlines or content to edit. When we did go out, she'd be on her phone constantly. "Sorry, babe, just checking engagement metrics," she'd say. Our anniversary in June 2023 felt forced. We went to a nice restaurant, took photos for her Instagram, but the conversation was hollow. I remember lying in bed that night thinking, when did we become roommates? My co-worker Mark noticed something was off. We'd grab lunch and he'd say things like, "Everything good at home, man? You seem distracted." "Fine," I'd tell him. "Just work stress. Sarah's busy with her business. We're both in growth phases." He'd give me this look, the kind that said more than words, but I didn't want to hear it. If you've ever ignored red flags because acknowledging them meant your life was falling apart, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I was a fucking expert at it. Summer 2023 was a blur. I threw myself into work. Sarah threw herself into, well, I thought it was her career. She was always filming content, always at the gym, always on her phone, taking giggly calls behind closed doors. A few times I'd walk into a room and she'd quickly close whatever was on her screen. "Just client stuff," she'd say. "Confidential." The last time we had sex that felt genuine was July, maybe late June. After that, the few times we did, it felt like she was somewhere else, like she was performing. I should have known then, but I didn't. I thought I was the problem. Then came September 19th, 2023, 2:34 a.m. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. I grabbed it groggily, expecting a work emergency. We had systems that alerted me if something went wrong on the network. Instead, it was my home network app. Unknown device connected. Samsung Galaxy A44. I stared at the notification in the dark. Sarah's iPhone was charging on her side of the bed. So what was this? I got up, went to my home office, pulled up the full network log on my computer. The Samsung had connected to our Wi-Fi and was actively backing up to my Synology NS server, the network storage system I'd set up years ago for automatic family device backups. Photos, messages, app data. I'd configured it so anything connected to our home network would auto-backup as a safety net. I checked the MAC address. This device had been connecting intermittently for weeks, maybe months. I just never noticed because I'd disabled notifications after setting it up. I sat there for 20 minutes, staring at the log entries. Then I disabled the alert and went back to bed. Sarah was curled up facing away from me, breathing steadily. I lay there, wide awake, mind racing. Probably a neighbor's phone, I told myself. These townhouses share walls. Wi-Fi signals bleed through. I almost believed it. The next morning I got up before Sarah, made coffee, checked the logs again. The device had connected from within the house, no question. Sarah came downstairs around 6, already in her gym clothes. "Morning workout," she said cheerfully, kissing my forehead. I kept my voice casual. "Hey, random question. Did you get a new phone?" "Nope. Why?" "Just saw a weird device on our network. Thought maybe you upgraded." She poured coffee, didn't even pause. Probably someone's Wi-Fi bleeding through. You know how these townhouses are. Technology's weird. She grabbed her water bottle and left. I watched her car pull out of the driveway. Then I went back to my computer. The device only connected when Sarah was home. I spent that entire day at work, unable to focus. I'd pull up Reddit on my phone during meetings, searching things like spouse secret phone and wife second device. I found myself in IR surviving infidelity, reading stories that felt uncomfortably familiar. The long hours at work, the sudden fitness obsession, the phone glued to her hand, the decreased intimacy. No, I thought, not us. Sarah wouldn't. But the Samsung was real. The backups were real. Mark caught me staring at my phone during lunch. "Dude, you look terrible. Just stressed." "Work stress or home stress?" I snapped. "Everything's fine, Mark." He held up his hands. "Okay, man, just checking." That night, after Sarah went to bed, I stood in my office for a solid 10 minutes, cursor hovering over the NAS backup folder. My hands were shaking. This is wrong, I thought. This is invasion of privacy. If I look and there's nothing, I've violated her trust. If I look and there is something, then what? But I clicked. The folder structure appeared. WhatsApp, photos, messages, Chrome history. I opened messages first. The preview pane showed contacts. One was labeled B. My stomach dropped. I clicked it. The most recent message from 2 days ago. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. My husband works late. We have until 10. I scrolled up. Hundreds of messages. Thousands, maybe. I saw phrases that made me feel like I was watching my life from outside my body. He's so clueless. It's almost too easy. Did you see him try to be romantic last night? I literally had to fake everything. Can't believe I married a guy who works this much. You actually pay attention to me. Explicit photos, plans to meet at hotels, discussions about how long she'd stay in the marriage, until the student loans are paid off at least. Her affair partner's contact name was Brandon. I found photos. Younger guy, fit, lots of gym selfies. I cross-referenced with Instagram and found him. Oh, Brandon Fit Hayes PT. 200 followers. Personal trainer. And then I saw an old photo, tagged. Brandon Hayes, Boulder High School, class of 2010. Her high school boyfriend. She told me about him once briefly. Said it was nothing serious, teenage stuff. He'd moved back to Denver in April, according to his Instagram. May was when Sarah joined the gym. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark. The affair had been going on for at least 4 months, maybe longer. I thought about confronting her right then. Waking her up, showing her the messages, demanding answers. But something stopped me. A cold, calculating part of my brain that I didn't know existed. If I confront her now, she'll delete everything. She'll gaslight me. She'll call me paranoid, crazy, controlling. And even if she admits it, then what? She cries, she apologizes, she promises to change. How do I know anything she says is true? How do I protect myself legally, financially? I'm an IT guy. I deal in data, in evidence, in backups and redundancy. So instead of confronting her, I created a new folder on an encrypted external drive. Started taking screenshots, every message, every photo, every receipt I could find in her backed-up files, hotel charges, gift purchases, Venmo payments to Brandon for training sessions that happened at 2 p.m. on weekdays when I was at work. I created a spreadsheet, date, location, evidence type, notes. First entry, September 22nd, 2023, confirmed affair with Brandon Hayes. Then I went back to bed. Sarah was still curled away from me, sleeping soundly. I lay there staring at the ceiling and thought, she made a mistake. She forgot the most important rule. IT guys always have backups. The next morning I was different. Sarah didn't notice. I made her coffee, kissed her goodbye, told her to have a good day. She smiled and said, "Love you." "Love you too," I said. It felt like reading a script. For the next 2 weeks, I became a forensic specialist in my own marriage. Every night after Sarah fell asleep, I'd download new backups. Her phone synced automatically when connected to our Wi-Fi, so I had real-time updates. I learned things I wish I could unlearn. Details of their sexual encounters that made me feel physically sick. Messages where Sarah complained about me in ways that were cruel and clinical. "He's so boring in bed," she wrote, "like a robot going through motions." I found out Brandon had a girlfriend. Sarah didn't care. "She's basic. You'll leave her eventually," Sarah texted. I discovered they'd been planning to grow their brands together. Her social media management expertise, plus his fitness influencer wannabe status. They talked about creating couple content once she dealt with the Daniel situation. That phrase stuck with me. The Daniel situation. I was a situation to be dealt with. September turned into October. I documented everything. I went through the motions at home. We had sex twice in those weeks, and I felt like I was betraying myself by participating. But I couldn't let her suspect anything. Not yet. Mark knew something was wrong. "You've lost weight," he said at lunch one day, And you look like you haven't slept in weeks. Just busy, I said. You're lying, but okay. I wanted to tell him, but saying it out loud would make it real in a way I wasn't ready for. Then came October 8th, a Sunday afternoon. Sarah was out at brunch with Kelly, her friend. I was checking the latest backup files when I noticed a new folder I hadn't seen before. TikTok drafts. I clicked it. Video files, dozens of them. I opened the first one. Sarah appeared on screen, in our bedroom, whispering to the camera. The caption overlay read, POV. Your husband works 60 hours a week in IT and has no idea you're living your best life. Chunker clueless, husband chronicles. I sat there, frozen, as she giggled and blew a kiss to the camera. I opened the next video, and the next, and the next. 147 videos total, spanning from May to October. Most were drafts, but many had been posted to a secret account. A living double life 23. I searched for it on my phone, still active. 700 followers. The videos were insane. Her filming herself getting ready for dates while I was at work. Montages of hotel rooms with captions like, when he thinks you're at Pilates. Split screens showing me gaming at night while she texted Brandon. Comments on the videos were brutal. How does he not notice? Girl, you're feral, I love it. Clueless husband content is top tier. She was monetizing our marriage, making content out of my humiliation. And 50,000 strangers were eating it up. I felt my vision go blurry. My chest tightened. I ran to the bathroom and vomited. 52,000 people had been watching my life disintegrate in real time, laughing at the clueless husband. And I had no idea. I sat on the bathroom floor for 20 minutes, shaking. Sarah knocked on the door. Babe, you okay? You've been in there forever. I wanted to scream. I wanted to kick down the door and show her the videos on my phone and watch her try to explain. Instead, I said, yeah, just stomach thing. Want me to get you ginger ale? No, I'm fine. I heard her walk away. I looked at myself in the mirror. Red eyes, pale, hollowed out. I thought, she's asking if I want ginger ale while 50,000 people are laughing at me. I went for a walk, ended up at a park as it was getting dark, sat on a bench watching families and couples, wondering which of them were lying to each other too. My phone buzzed. Sarah. Where are you? Dinner's ready. I stared at that heart emoji for a full minute. Then I made a decision. She made our marriage into content. She performed loving me while mocking me to tens of thousands of strangers. Fine, I'd give her the series finale she deserved. I walked home, hugged her when I got there. Sorry, I said. Got lost in thought about a work project. She looked relieved. You scared me. Next time, just text. That night, lying in bed next to her, I started planning. Not just evidence collection, revenge. Calculated, multi-layered, devastating revenge. I spent the next week designing what I called internally the master plan. 3 phases. Phase 1. Continue silent evidence gathering. Phase 2. Legal and financial protection. Phase 3. Public revelation. For Phase 1, I expanded my documentation. I tracked every hotel receipt, every Venmo payment, every message. I downloaded all 147 TikTok videos, including the unpublished drafts. I created detailed timelines with dates, locations, expenses. I cross-referenced Brandon's Instagram to confirm he was Sarah's high school ex, something she'd conveniently never mentioned in detail. I found messages that made my blood boil. Sarah to Brandon. I'll divorce him once he pays off my student loans. Another year tops. Brandon. Smart. Maximize the financial benefit. They were literally planning our divorce while I paid her bills. Phase 2 started on October 20th. I consulted a divorce attorney that Mark recommended. Colorado is a no-fault divorce state, the attorney explained, but evidence of adultery can help with asset division and alimony negotiations. I showed him a fraction of what I had. His eyes widened. This is comprehensive, he said. You documented everything. I'm in IT, I said. It's what I do. He walked me through next steps. I needed to protect myself financially before confronting anything, so I opened a separate bank account and redirected half my paycheck. I documented all joint account transactions, found $4,000 in hotel charges, gift purchases, and training sessions with Brandon over 5 months. I changed the beneficiary on my life insurance and 401k, consulted an accountant about the LLC Sarah and I co-owned for her freelance business, made sure I understood every asset, every liability. I filed separation paperwork and had my attorney hold it for strategic timing. Then came phase 3, the revelation strategy. I needed maximum impact, not just telling Sarah, not just divorcing her quietly. She'd humiliated me publicly to 52,000 followers. I wanted everyone who mattered to her to know exactly who she was. Target date, December 23rd, 2023. Why? Sarah's family Christmas party, her mother's birthday. The one event where her entire extended family gathered, 40-plus people, including her ultra-religious parents, her siblings, aunts, uncles, and half their church congregation. The same family that had judged me for pulling Sarah away from faith. The same mother who'd looked at me with disdain for years. I'd expose Sarah in front of every single person whose opinion she cared about. The method: I'd create a digital photo album as my gift to the family. Tell them I'd compiled memories from the year, connect my laptop to their TV, and show them everything. The TikTok screenshots, the messages, the timeline, the hotel receipts, the clueless husband content, all of it. I had a backup plan too, USB drives with full documentation for anyone who wanted to verify. Attorney on speed dial in case Sarah tried to claim I'd fabricated anything. November was the hardest month of my life. I had to maintain normalcy while planning this nuclear option. We had sex twice because she initiated, and I couldn't refuse without raising suspicion. Every time, I felt like I was betraying myself. Every kiss, every "I love you," every mundane conversation about what to have for dinner. It was all performance. I lost 12 pounds. I barely slept. Mark pulled me aside at work one day. "You look like you're plotting something," he said. "Just planning ahead." "For what?" I looked at him. "You'll see in December." Sarah remained completely oblivious. She actually told me one night, "You seem really stressed. Maybe take some PTO. You look burned out." I wanted to laugh or scream. Instead, I said, "Maybe after the holidays." Internally, I thought, "Oh, I'm planning a vacation, all right. From you." The week before Christmas, Sarah was excited. She'd been making more of an effort with her family, even attending church with them occasionally, playing the prodigal daughter returning to faith card. "Mom's so happy you're coming to Christmas this year," she said. "I think she's finally warming up to you." I smiled. "I'm looking forward to it." I'd spent the last month strategically being the perfect son-in-law, calling her parents, complimenting them, offering to help with Christmas setup. I needed them to like me, trust me, before I destroyed their daughter's reputation in their living room. December 23rd, 2023, dawned cold and clear. I woke up at 6 a.m., strangely calm. Sarah was still asleep. I went to my office and checked everything one last time. Laptop presentation queued. 25 USB drives in my bag, each loaded with full documentation. Attorney's number programmed on speed dial, divorce papers in my car. Sarah woke up excited, practically bouncing around. "Can't wait for tonight. Mom's so happy you're coming. This is going to be such a good Christmas." I watched her get ready, posting Instagram stories. Family time. I thought last day of the show. We arrived at her parents' house at 6 p.m. Large suburban home. Decorated like a Christmas movie exploded inside. 40 people milling around. Her mother, Carol, hugged me warmly. A first. "Daniel, so glad you could make it." Her father, Richard, shook my hand. "Good to see you, son." Son. He'd never called me that before. Sarah beamed. She was wearing a red dress playing the perfect daughter. I played the perfect husband, brought wine, complimented the decorations, made small talk with relatives I barely knew. Dinner was traditional, ham, mashed potatoes, the works. We said grace. I bowed my head and felt like a fraud, but for different reasons than usual. Carol kept smiling at Sarah and me, clearly thrilled we were there together. After dinner, everyone migrated to the living room for dessert and presents. That's when Carol made the announcement. Before we start presents, Daniel prepared something special. All eyes turned to me. I'd asked permission 2 weeks ago to share a photo retrospective of the year as my gift to the family. They'd loved the idea. I pulled out my laptop. I put together a digital album showing what 2023 really looked like, plugged into their large TV. Everyone gathered around excited, kids sitting on the floor, adults on couches. Sarah standing next to me confused. "Babe, what is this? You didn't tell me you were doing this." I looked at her. Really looked at her. For the last time as her husband. Just watch. The title slide appeared on the screen. The Year in Review, Truth Edition. Slide 1, our wedding photo from 2020. Caption, Once Upon a Time. Some awes from the family. Slide 2, text only. May 2023. Sarah reconnects with her high school ex-boyfriend Brandon at the gym. The room got quiet. Sarah's face went pale. "Daniel, what are you doing?" I kept my voice calm. Even. "Sit down, Sarah. Everyone deserves to see this." "Daniel, stop this right. Sit down." Something in my voice made her actually sit. Slide 3. Screenshots of the first text messages between Sarah and Brandon. Flirty, suggestive. Carol gasped. "What is this?" Richard stood up. "Turn this off." I looked at him. "No, sir. With all respect, I won't. 52,000 people got to see my humiliation online. Your family gets to see the truth." Slide 4 through 10. The progression of the affair. Explicit messages, partially censored but clear in intent, hotel receipts, plans to meet, complaints about me. "He's so boring. He works all the time. Can't wait to be done with this marriage." Sarah was crying now. "You weren't supposed to. How did you?" Her sister Megan, reading one screenshot. "Clueless Husband Chronicles." Sarah, what the fuck? I'd never heard Megan swear before. Slides 11 through 15. TikTok screenshots. The Living Double Life 23 account name. Screenshots of videos with view counts and comments. Captions mocking me. POV. Cheating while he plays video games. My husband thinks I'm at Bible study. The room was dead silent except for Sarah's crying. 52,000 followers, I said quietly. She turned our marriage into content, made me into a joke. The clueless husband everyone could laugh at. Carol looked devastated. Sarah Elizabeth. Slide 16 through 20. Financial documentation. $4,000 in hotel charges from our joint account. Gym membership Brandon paid for. Gifts, Venmo transactions. Sarah's brother Michael stood up. "You used family money for this." Slide 21. A timeline graphic I'd made, showing my work schedule overlaid with her content creation schedule. Every night I was working late. She was filming TikToks mocking me. Slide 22. The message that killed me most. Sarah to Brandon. "Can't wait to divorce him once the student loans are paid off. Another year max." Richard's face was red. "You were planning to divorce him after using him to pay your debts?" Sarah was hyperventilating. "It wasn't, I didn't, this is out of context." Slide 23. More messages showing it was absolutely in context. Discussions about maximizing financial benefit from staying married just long enough. Final slide. "To everyone here, I'm sorry you had to see this, but I'm not sorry for showing you who she really is. This affair lasted 8 months. She documented it, mocked me, and planned to leave me once I'd served my purpose. I stayed silent because I'm an IT security specialist, and I know the value of documentation. Her secret phone backed up to my server for 8 months. Every text, every photo, every lie. Merry Christmas! The room erupted. Sarah was screaming. "You bastard! You planned this! You fucking planned this!" Carol was sobbing into Richard's shoulder. Megan was yelling at Sarah. "How could you? How could you do this to him? To this family?" Michael just kept saying, "Jesus Christ, Sarah. Jesus Christ." Richard pointed at Sarah. Get out of this house." "Dad, get out!" Sarah's Aunt Linda, a church elder, was recording on her phone. This is going straight to Pastor Mike. Other relatives were arguing, some defending Sarah. There's two sides to every story. Most condemning her. She humiliated him publicly for months. Kids were crying because the adults were yelling. I started handing out USB drives, full documentation for anyone who wants to verify any of this. Timestamps, metadata, everything. Sarah grabbed my arm, nails digging in. "How could you do this?" I looked at her. The woman I'd loved, the woman I'd married, the woman who'd spent 8 months turning that love into a punchline. "How could I do this?" My voice was quiet, steady. "How could you do this for 8 months online?" I pulled my arm away and walked out, got in my car, drove away while my phone started buzzing with calls and texts. Sarah called 47 times in the first hour. I blocked her number. At 8:47 p.m., my attorney confirmed the divorce papers had been filed electronically. I drove to Mark's house. He opened the door, took one look at me, and said, "It's done? It's done. How do you feel?" I stood there, trying to find words. "I don't know." He let me stay in his guest room that night. I didn't sleep, just lay there, staring at the ceiling, phone on silent as it vibrated constantly with incoming messages I wouldn't read. I'd waited 94 days for that moment, planned every detail, executed it perfectly, and now, in the silence afterward, I felt nothing, no victory, no satisfaction, just exhaustion. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic. Sarah's text before I blocked her showed the progression. Rage to panic to begging. "How dare you" became, "Please, we need to talk" became, "I'm sorry, please don't do this." I didn't respond to any of them. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I stayed at Mark's. He gave me space, just checked in occasionally. "You okay?" "Yeah." "You sure?" "No." Messages from Sarah's family trickled in. Her sister Megan. "That was brutal to watch, but I understand. I'm sorry she did that to you." Her brother Michael. "She deserved it, but man, that was something." Even Carol texted, "I hope you find peace, Daniel. I'm sorry we didn't see what was happening. You deserved better from her, from all of us." That one made me cry. Her mother apologizing to me after years of judgment. But the real destruction was just beginning. Sarah's TikTok account got reported and taken down within days. Terms of service violation. Her Instagram was flooded with comments. People from the church, from her network, putting together who she was. "Wait, you're the double life girl. This is wild. How do you show your face?" She lost 3 social media management clients in the first week. Small businesses who couldn't afford to be associated with the scandal. Brandon's girlfriend found out. Someone sent her screenshots. She confronted Sarah publicly at a coffee shop. Someone recorded it, posted it. It made the rounds on Denver Reddit. Cheating influencer gets confronted IRL. The story became local lore. Reddit threads, Facebook groups. Did you hear about the guy who exposed his wife at Christmas dinner? Denver was a big city, but the suburban social networks made it feel small. Sarah moved in with her friend Kelly, temporarily, then had to move back in with her parents when she couldn't afford rent alone. Her income dropped 70%, down to one client, a friend who felt sorry for her. Her parents' condition for living there, mandatory church counseling, no social media, no contact with Brandon. The divorce moved fast. My attorney used the documented evidence to argue for unequal asset division. Sarah's attorney tried to claim I'd caused emotional distress by publicly exposing her. My attorney's response: my client gathered evidence lawfully from his own server. Perhaps Ms. Mitchell should have been more careful about what she backed up. I got the house. Most of the savings, no alimony. Sarah kept her car, some furniture, and her now worthless LLC. Everything was finalized by mid-March, Colorado's 90-day minimum from filing to decree. But the thing that broke me happened in mid-January. Megan called. "I need to tell you something." "What?" "Sarah had a panic attack at church counseling, a bad one." My stomach dropped. "What happened?" "She locked herself in the bathroom for 2 hours. Wouldn't come out. Hyperventilating. The counselor had to call Mom and Dad. They said she's having nightmares. Can't sleep. Keeps saying everyone's laughing at her, judging her." I sat down heavily. "Is she okay?" "Physically, yeah. Mentally." The counselor mentioned possible PTSD from the public shaming. Silence. Megan continued. "I'm not saying what she did was okay. It wasn't. She hurt you in terrible ways, but Daniel, seeing her like this, it's scary." After we hung up, I sat in my apartment. I'd moved out of the townhouse into a new place in February, couldn't stay there, and stared at the wall. Did I go too far? I talked to Mark about it. "She humiliated you for 8 months for TikTok clout. You showed receipts one time, to her family, in private. That one time destroyed her entire life. She destroyed her own life by doing what she did." But I couldn't shake the image. Sarah locked in a bathroom, unable to breathe, surrounded by judgment and shame. At work, people knew. Someone had found the Reddit thread and recognized my story. My co-workers looked at me differently, some with sympathy, some with something else. Caution, maybe, like I was unpredictable. My boss pulled me aside. "Everything okay? You've seemed distant." "Personal stuff. It's handled." He nodded, but I could see the question in his eyes. Some women at work started avoiding me. Not overtly, just keeping distance. I overheard part of a conversation once in the break room. "What if he did that to someone who didn't deserve it? But she did deserve it." "Yeah, but what kind of person plans something like that?" I realized. Revenge doesn't care who was right. Once you're that guy who destroyed his wife at Christmas, that's your identity. Forever. I thought about therapy but put it off. Work became my escape. I buried myself in projects, worked late, avoided social situations. Then in February, Mark sat me down. "You need to see someone." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You've lost more weight. You barely talk. And last week you spent 17 hours straight coding. I timed it. I'm handling it. By avoiding it. Dude, you executed the revenge. It worked. She's facing consequences. But you're still miserable. Why?" I didn't have an answer. He handed me a piece of paper with a name and number. "Therapist. Friend of mine went after his divorce. Just make one appointment." I crumpled it, then smoothed it out, then called the next day. Dr. Patricia Hoffman's office was calm. Neutral walls, soft lighting, generic landscape paintings. She was in her 50s, kind eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. "Why are you here, Daniel?" I laughed bitterly. "I ruined my wife's life and I don't know if I feel bad about it." "Tell me what happened." So I did. All of it. The affair, the TikTok account, the 94 days of silence, the Christmas reveal, the fallout. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she asked, "Why did you wait 94 days? To document everything, to build a case." "No. Why did you really wait?" I stared at her. She continued, "You could have confronted her the day you found the messages. You could have filed for divorce quietly. You could have kept the evidence for legal proceedings only. But you waited. You planned. You chose the most public, devastating method possible. Why? I opened my mouth, closed it. I wanted her to feel what I felt. The humiliation, the betrayal. And I was terrified. Of what? Of confronting her, of the conversation, of her denying it, gaslighting me, making me question reality. If I confronted her directly, she'd have power in that moment. Control. Dr. Hoffman nodded. So you took away her power by maintaining complete control of the narrative. You avoided vulnerability by executing a plan where you held all the cards. I felt something crack open inside me. I grew up watching my parents scream at each other for years before divorcing. Every fight was chaos. No one won, everyone lost. I swore I'd never be in that kind of relationship. And then, I found out Sarah was lying to me, and I couldn't face the mess of confronting it. So you made it clean, clinical, a presentation with slides and evidence. Yeah. Daniel, revenge wasn't about justice. It was about protecting yourself from more hurt. And that's not wrong, but it's important you understand that. I sat with that for weeks. Therapy became regular. Every 2 weeks at first, then weekly when I realized how much I'd been compartmentalizing. We talked about my conflict avoidance, about how I'd ignored red flags because acknowledging them meant uncertainty and pain, about how control had become my coping mechanism. Dr. Hoffman asked once, "Do you regret it?" I regret that it had to happen. I regret that she pushed me to that point, but do I regret protecting myself? No. That's fair, but you need to also acknowledge the cost, not just to her, to you. The cost was that I couldn't escape being that guy. The story followed me in Denver social circles. I couldn't date casually without wondering if women knew, if they'd judged me already. March came. The divorce was finalized. I had to go to the courthouse for final signatures. On the steps outside, I ran into Sarah. She'd lost weight too, looked tired, hair pulled back, no makeup. Nothing like the polished influencer persona she'd cultivated. We stood there for a moment. Finally, she said, "I'm sorry, for all of it." I exhaled. "I'm sorry, too, for how I ended it." "Do you hate me?" I thought about it. Honestly thought about it. "No, I don't. I can't be near this anymore. Near you, near what we were." She nodded, her eyes filled with tears. "For what it's worth, I'm getting help. Real help. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I needed you to know I'm trying to understand why I did what I did." "Good. That's good, Sarah." We stood there a moment longer. "I hope you find whatever it is you were looking for," I said. "I hope you already have." We walked away from each other, down the courthouse steps, into separate cars, separate lives. And strangely, I felt peace. Not the immediate gratification of revenge. Not vindication, just peace. Spring became summer. I kept going to therapy. Started going to the gym. Not for revenge body reasons, just for health. Reconnected with friends I'd neglected during the marriage and the aftermath. Got promoted at work. Senior security architect. The recognition felt good. I moved to a new apartment in a different neighborhood. Sold all the furniture from the townhouse, bought new stuff. Made it feel like a true fresh start. Tried dating. Downloaded apps. Went on a few first dates that went nowhere. One woman, Rachel, asked about my marriage on the first date. "It ended badly," I said. "I'm still working through it." That's honest. I appreciate that. No second date. But that was okay. Dr. Hoffman and I talked about dating in one session. "I'm afraid of trusting again," I admitted. "What if I miss the signs again? What if I'm the clueless husband again?" "You weren't clueless, Daniel. You were trusting. There's a difference. Sarah was skilled at deception. That's not a reflection of your intelligence or awareness. Then how do I trust again without being naive? You learn boundaries. You communicate openly. You choose partners who've done their own work. And you remember, protecting yourself doesn't mean never being vulnerable. It means being vulnerable with people who've earned it." That stuck with me. In June, I ran into Sarah at a coffee shop, our old spot, ironically. She was with another woman, sitting at a corner table, looking healthier, better than she had at the courthouse. She saw me and her expression flickered with something. Fear. Regret. But then she waved. Hesitantly, I waved back. After a moment's internal debate, I walked over. Hi, she said. This is Rachel, my therapist. The other woman smiled kindly. I've heard a lot about you. I nodded. How are you, Sarah? Better. Getting better. Therapy. Working on everything. She paused. I'm working at a coffee shop now, different one, and I'm studying to get certified as a substance abuse counselor. That's good, really good. I lost everything, she said quietly. But maybe I needed to. I didn't know how to respond to that. I'm sorry, she continued. I've said it before, but I need to keep saying it. What I did to you was cruel, selfish, unforgivable, and I'm not asking for forgiveness. I wanted you to know that I see that now. Thank you. I hope you find what you need. She smiled sadly. I hope you already have. Same thing she'd said at the courthouse. We said goodbye, and I left. Walking back to my car, I realized something. She was human, flawed, suffering, and I'd moved past needing her to suffer more. The revenge was done. The consequences had happened. And now we were both just people trying to move forward. August rolled around. Mark threw a barbecue. I almost didn't go. Social anxiety had been a thing since December, but forced myself. That's where I met Emily. She was Mark's girlfriend's friend. Accountant. Funny. Direct. We ended up talking for hours about everything except my past, movies, travel, the absurdity of Denver traffic. At the end of the night, she asked for my number. Full disclosure, I said. I'm divorced. It ended badly. I'm still working through it. She smiled. We've all got baggage. I'm divorced too. No dramatic Christmas reveal, though. I laughed. You heard about that. Mark might have mentioned something, but hey, at least you documented everything. Very organized. As an accountant, I respect that. We started dating slowly. Coffee dates, walks, no rush. She knew the story. I told her everything on our third date, expecting her to run. Instead, she said, she mocked you publicly for months. You showed evidence one time. In context, that seems proportional. Also, I'm never backing up my phone to your server. I laughed so hard I cried. Emily was different, open, boundaried. We talked about everything. No secrets, no games. By December, we were serious. Not living together, but serious. December 23rd, 2024. 1-year anniversary of the Christmas incident. I sat in my apartment, alone, journal open, therapy homework. Emily was visiting family for the holidays. We'd celebrate together when she got back. I wrote, a year ago, I thought revenge would make me whole. It didn't, but it did make me free. I thought about the NAS server. Still had all the backups. I'd never deleted them, should I? Not yet. Maybe someday, maybe never. I thought about Sarah. According to Megan's occasional updates, she was doing okay, still living with her parents, dating someone from church group, volunteering at a women's shelter, no social media. I didn't wish her harm anymore, but I didn't wish her back either. I wrote more. I was the clueless husband, but clueless isn't the same as weak. She thought deleting made things disappear, but digital footprints last forever. Just like trauma, just like healing. I paused, pen hovering over paper. I don't know if I did the right thing, but I did the thing that let me survive. And sometimes that's enough. My phone buzzed. Emily, miss you. Can't wait to see you when I'm back. Dinner at yours? I smiled and typed back. My place. I'll cook. Can't wait. I closed the journal and looked around my apartment. New furniture, new life, new chance. The blinking light on my NAS server in the corner caught my eye. Still backing up, still keeping records, still doing what it was designed to do. I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the silence, the documentation, the revenge, the fallout, the guilt, the healing. And I realized I wasn't the same person I'd been a year ago. That Daniel had been conflict avoidant, trusting to a fault, willing to ignore his own discomfort to keep the peace. Daniel had boundaries, had learned to protect himself, had learned that sometimes the cost of dignity is other people's comfort, and I'd paid enough already. I opened my laptop and started typing an email to Dr. Hoffman, summarizing this year and how far I'd come. Subject line: 1 year later. In it, I wrote about the guilt I'd felt, the cost of revenge, but also about Emily, about learning to trust again, about understanding that vulnerability isn't weakness when it's given to someone who's earned it. I wrote about running into Sarah and feeling nothing but hope that she was healing too, and I wrote about finally, truly forgiving myself. Not for staying silent, not for the revenge, but for trusting in the first place, because being the clueless husband wasn't actually about being clueless. It was about being someone who loved openly, trusted deeply, and believed in the person he married. That wasn't a flaw. That was human. Sarah's flaw was betraying that trust and mocking it publicly. And my choice was deciding how to respond when I found out. I don't know if I made the right choice. People are still divided. Some think I was justified. Some think I went too far. Some think we were both wrong. Maybe we were both wrong. Maybe that's the truth of it, but I can live with my choices. I documented evidence to protect myself legally. I revealed the truth to people who deserved to know. I executed revenge in a way that felt proportional to the public humiliation I'd endured for months without knowing. And then I did the real work. Therapy, healing, learning, growing, moving forward. A year later, I'm not the clueless husband anymore. I'm not the revenge guy anymore either. I'm just Daniel, a guy who got burned, who fought back, who learned from it, and who's building something new with someone who sees me. Really sees me, and chooses me anyway. And that's enough. I sent the email to Dr. Hoffman and closed my laptop. My phone buzzed again. Mark. NYE party at my place. You and Emily coming? I smiled and replied, "We'll be there." Life was moving forward. The past was still there. It always would be. But it wasn't dictating my present anymore. I looked at the NAS server one more time. That blinking green light. Maybe one day I'd delete those files. Maybe I wouldn't. But either way, I'd learned the most important lesson. Guys always have backups, and sometimes the best revenge isn't what you do to someone else. It's who you become after they're gone.